When your cat hears their name and just looks at you, do you really know what is happening inside their mind in that exact moment? Yes, it may look like indifference, like your cat simply does not care, like you are calling into a void and there is nobody on the other side who cares enough to answer. But behind that still unbothered expression, there is something much deeper that most owners never stop to consider. It is one of the most quietly devastating things your cat can do. And if you have ever taken that non-response personally, which most owners do without fully realizing it, you may have been misreading your cat's inner world entirely. You may have spent years feeling slightly rejected by an animal that was never actually rejecting you. Today you will discover what is really happening when your cat ignores your call, and why understanding it may change the way you see your relationship with them forever. Let's start with the one thing almost everyone gets wrong. Your cat hears. Every single word. Picture this. You are across the room. You call your cat's name. They are sitting on the windowsill, perfectly still, and for just a moment, one ear rotates in your direction, the tiniest movement, and then nothing. They go back to staring outside like you never existed. Most owners see that moment and think, they heard me and chose to ignore me. And that interpretation is not entirely wrong, but it is deeply incomplete, because what actually happened in that moment is far more interesting than simple indifference. Research published in scientific reports from a team at Sophia University in Tokyo studied whether domestic cats could distinguish their own name from other similar-sounding words. The results were striking. Cats showed measurable responses, a slight head turn, an ear flick, a momentary pause in activity, when their specific name was spoken, even when surrounded by other words with similar sounds and rhythms. They were not responding to sound in general. They were responding to their name specifically, that ear that rotated when you called. That was recognition, not coincidence, not reflex. That was your cat's brain identifying your voice, processing the specific pattern of sound that it has learned belongs to them, and registering. That is my name. That is my person calling me. And then came the decision. But here is what most owners miss. The decision to respond is a completely separate process from the recognition. Your cat heard you, your cat knew it was you, and then your cat ran a quiet, lightning-fast calculation. That calculation is what changes everything. The calculation nobody talks about. Every time you call your cat, something happens in their mind that most people never think about. It is not random. It is not mood-dependent in the way we imagine. It is something much more precise. Animal behavior researchers who study feline cognition have observed that cats appear to weigh the likely outcome of a behavior before performing it. This is not unique to cats. Most animals do something similar. But in cats it is especially visible because they have never been bred to suppress it. Dogs were shaped over thousands of years to follow human direction. Cats were not. What remains in your cat is an animal that still asks every single time, what happens if I do this? So when you call your cat's name, the question being processed is essentially, what has happened in the past when I responded to this? What are the odds that going there leads to something worth going for? If the answer is a meal, a favorite treat, a moment of play, the calculation resolves in your favor. If the answer is nothing in particular, or worse, a trip to the vet, a nail trim being picked up and moved somewhere less comfortable, the calculation does not resolve in your favor. Your cat stays where they are, not out of spite, out of perfectly logical self-interest. And this is where it gets strange, because most owners have been calling their cat's name in entirely neutral or even negative contexts without realizing it. The name gets used when something good is happening, but also when something unwelcome is about to happen. And over time, the name itself becomes a mixed signal, an uncertain cue, something that could mean anything. The next part is what almost nobody understands, and it explains why your cat responds some days and not others, why the inconsistency is not inconsistency at all. Here is something that confuses almost every cat owner. Your cat seems to decide randomly whether to respond. Some days you call once and they come trotting over immediately. Other days you could call 15 times and nothing moves except maybe a tail, and it feels unpredictable, arbitrary, like their mood changes from moment to moment for no reason. But it is not arbitrary at all. It is extraordinarily consistent, just consistent with something you may not have noticed you were doing. Feline behavior research suggests that cats learn through association with remarkable precision. Every time a specific stimulus, your voice calling their name that is followed by a specific outcome, that connection gets slightly stronger. And every time it is followed by nothing, or by something neutral, that connection gets slightly weaker. Your cat is not being inconsistent. Your cat is being exactly as consistent as the pattern you have been unconsciously creating. Think back. When did your cat come running without hesitation? Probably when you called them for dinner, or when you were opening their favorite treat, or when something genuinely exciting was about to happen and they could hear it or smell it. The name was a reliable signal for something worth responding to. And when did they ignore you completely? Probably when you called just to call, or to move them, or before something they did not enjoy. The same name, but connected to a very different kind of outcome. This is not stubbornness. This is your cat reading the world more carefully than most people realize they are capable of. And if you want to understand your cat on a deeper level, to recognize the signals most owners miss entirely, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more cat owners who want to genuinely understand their cats, not just live alongside them. Why dogs come and cats don't? At some point, almost every cat owner has had the same thought. Why does my dog come every time, no matter what, and my cat just does not? It feels like a statement about cats in general, like they are somehow less devoted, less connected, less capable of that kind of loyalty. But the truth is much more emotional than that. Dogs were shaped by thousands of years of selective breeding to respond to human direction. The animals that came when called, that followed commands, that oriented their behavior toward human signals, those were the ones that survived and reproduced. Over countless generations, following a human became something close to instinct for dogs. They do not really choose to come, they are built to come. Cats were never put through that filter. They were domesticated far more loosely, kept around because they were useful for controlling rodents, not because they were obedient. The selection pressure was almost entirely different. What remained deep inside your cat is an animal that still makes its own decisions, always, without exception. Here is the detail that changes everything. Studies using neuroimaging have found that when cats hear familiar human voices, there is measurable activation in brain regions associated with memory and emotional processing. Your cat's brain responds to your voice, not generically but specifically. It distinguishes you from strangers, from other voices, from other sounds in the environment. Researchers have described this as something similar to what is called the cocktail party effect, the ability to pick out a specific meaningful sound from background noise. Your calls are not falling on deaf ears. They are being heard, identified, and processed. What happens next is simply a different kind of decision than what a dog makes. Every time your cat decides to come to you, it is a genuine choice, not a trained response, not an instinct that overrides everything else. A real, considered choice made by an animal that was never built to obey. That changes what it means when they do come. It means something they have never had to offer. What your cat's silence is actually saying. There is something that most owners never consider. When a cat chooses not to come, they are not communicating rejection. They are communicating something much more specific. And once you understand what that is, everything looks different. Feline behavior researchers who study cat-human attachment have observed that cats express affiliation very differently from dogs. Proximity is not always the goal. Being present in the same space in a relaxed, secure state is often the highest form of connection a cat offers. A cat that stays across the room but keeps their eyes soft and their body loose and their tail gently curved is not distant. They are comfortable. And comfort for a cat is intimacy. The silence when you call is not your cat saying, "I don't care about you." It is your cat saying, "I don't have a strong enough reason to move right now." And that distinction is enormous, because it means the relationship is not broken. The signal is simply incomplete. This is not distance. This is a quiet kind of closeness that most people translate incorrectly. Research on feline communication suggests that cats developed a specific repertoire of behaviors to interact with humans. behaviors they do not typically use with other cats. The slow blink, the raised tail greeting, the soft chirp of acknowledgement. These are things your cat invented, essentially, for you, for the relationship between your species. And the absence of a response to your call is part of that same language, just the part most people do not know how to read. What is really happening here is more subtle than you think. Your cat's lack of response is data, and that data is telling you something very specific about what calling their name currently means to them. How to make them actually come here is the part nobody talks about, because it requires admitting something slightly uncomfortable. If your cat does not reliably come when you call, it is almost never about the cat. It is about what the name has come to mean. Animal behavior researchers who study learning in domestic cats have consistently found that positive association is the single most powerful tool for changing a cat's behavioral response. Not repetition, not volume, not frustration, association. What this looks like in practice is simple. Stop using your cat's name as a neutral signal. Stop calling them when nothing is going to happen or when something unwelcome is about to happen. Use their name only as the leading edge of something genuinely good. A meal, a favorite treat, a game they love, a moment of contact they enjoy. Over time, and it takes time because learning through association is a slow and layered process, the sound of their name begins to mean something different in their mind. Behavior experts also note that tone and frequency matter more than most people realize. A high, soft, inviting tone is processed very differently than a flat, repeated, slightly frustrated call. Your cat is reading not just the word, but the entire sound pattern, the pitch, the rhythm, the emotional coloring underneath it. A gentle, warm call in a rising tone communicates something. A clipped, repetitive call communicates something very different. The moment you change what the call means is the moment the response begins to change. Not overnight, but steadily, quietly. In the same way your cat learned to associate your name with whatever it currently means, they will learn to associate it with whatever you choose to teach them it means. And one day, without you being able to pinpoint exactly when it happened, they will start coming. Every time. Not because something has been forced or trained in the way we usually imagine training, but because they have decided on the basis of real evidence you gave them that coming to you is worth it. What you were really looking at. At the beginning of this video, it seemed like your cat was ignoring you. Like the non-response was a small rejection, repeated quietly every time you called their name and nothing moved. But now you know what was actually happening. Your cat heard you, recognized you, ran a calculation built entirely on the history of what has happened every time they responded before, and came to whatever conclusion that history supported. This is not your cat being cold. This is not your cat being indifferent. This is your cat being exactly what they are, an animal that makes real decisions based on real evidence about what is worth doing and what is not. An animal that has never been built to follow, and so every time they do follow, every time they choose to come, it means something that a dog's response simply cannot mean. There is a version of this relationship that most owners never fully reach, where the name becomes a reliable signal for something good, where the calculation resolves in your favor every single time, not because the cat forgot to distrust you, but because they genuinely stopped having a reason to hesitate. That version of the relationship is built exactly the way trust is always built. Slowly, through consistency, through small moments that accumulate into something unshakable. Your cat does not ignore you because they do not love you. They ignore you because you have not yet given them enough evidence that coming is always worth it. Start giving them that evidence, one call at a time, one good thing at a time, and one day they will choose you, every time you ask. This is not just a cat doing what cats do. This is trust being built quietly, honestly, and completely on your cat's own terms. And that is the only kind of trust that lasts.